Calypso from the Odyssey, in my opinion, is by far the most tragic woman character in the entire novel. I remember when I was younger, I used to love the Odyssey graphic novels, and by the way, they're a lot less adult themed than the actual Odyssey. They were much more aimed at kids around my age, so it's a bit less dark, but I remember thinking that Calypso was just a fascinating character, and she lived on this beautiful island, and she can give a hero almost everything. This is the untold story of Calypso, the woman that could offer a hero almost anything he could ever want, except for the one thing that he wanted most. Before we dive in, let's get one thing crystal clear. Calypso isn't just a pit stop in Odysseus' long and miserable commute back to Ithaca. She is the heartbreak the Odyssey refuses to tell. She's not some seashell-wearing extra. She is a Titan's daughter, as well as a goddess trapped in solitude. She is a woman that loved, lost, and let go with more grace than most gods could even dream of. She sang to the stars, wove fate into tapestries, and could give you immortality with just a kiss. She was powerful, eternal, and yet she was left in the sidelines of someone else's story. The name Calypso literally means to conceal or to hide. Already Homer's Odyssey is whispering to us that she is not a person. She is not an individual. She's not even really a character. She's a symbol of isolation, of emotional stillness. She is a goddess hidden from the world, a woman just off the map. She's usually described as the daughter of Atlas, who is a titan that's doomed to hold the heaven and the sky up for eternity. In other versions, she's usually described as the daughter of Oceanus or Nereus, depending on how poetic your source is feeling that day. Either way, she is pre-Olympian, the generation before Zeus and his lightning-hurling gang took over Mount Olympus. Her home is the beautiful island of Ogygia, an island tucked away beyond the maps of men. Ogygia floats, somewhere between myth and memory. Ogygia is truly beautiful. It's serene, it's still, it's stunning. But it's also a prison, a golden cage. Some myths say that Zeus banished her there after her father and the Titans lost the war against the Olympians. Her punishment was to spend the rest of eternity in complete isolation, never to see another soul again. Not to the end of her life, not to the end of 100 years, but to the end of life itself. Despite her lonesome punishment, she truly does the best she could with the beautiful land that surrounds her. She waits, she creates, she sings, she creates beauty in banishment. On the island that no one can come and no one can go, living the rest of her days, the rest of all days, in complete isolation. Forever, eternally alone. So imagine her shock when a half-drowned hunk of a man named Odysseus rocks up on her shores with the abs of a god. She probably thinks it's Christmas. Before we dive too deep into Calypso's heartbreak, let's look at the man who triggered it all, Odysseus, king of Ithaca, the star of Homer's Odyssey. He's brave, he's cunning, he's a bit of a storm magnet, and sadly for him, he's a bit of a cautionary tale. Odysseus is not your standard issue Greek hero. He's not strong and able to take down Cerberus with just his hands like Hercules with his club. And he's not given a godlike body and a godlike complex like Achilles. He's brave, he's smart. He uses brain, not brawn. Though he did have quite a bit of brawn. He was quite burly according to most writings. Apparently he wasn't very tall, unlike Hercules and Achilles. He was quite short and stocky, but he had a lot of muscle. He was quite wide. He was a bit of a unit, as some would say. His greatest feat? The Trojan horse. A wooden trick so iconic, it became a cybersecurity term that we all know. After 10 years of the grim and grueling Trojan War, Odysseus and his crew finally set home for Ithaca. He's going off to go see his beautiful wife Penelope and his son Telemachus, who he hasn't seen in 10 years. The last time he saw Telemachus, the boy was a baby. It really should have been a quick sail back home, but Poseidon is not the forgiving type. And sadly, on Odysseus' travels during the Trojan War, when he was trying to go find Achilles while he was busy dressed as a woman, he happened to have blinded a Cyclops, who happened to also be Poseidon's son. And Poseidon was not very pleased about his son being made blind, ensuring that quick trip back to Ithaca became another 10 years of pain, suffering, loss, and misery as they fight pretty much every monster in the entire Mediterranean. Along his way, Odysseus collects obstacles like some twisted Pokédeck. I'm talking cannibals, I'm talking sirens, I'm talking sea monsters, and I'm talking very seductive witches. You name it, it has it. And through sheer nerve, storytelling abilities, and dumb luck, to be honest, he manages to survive it all. Barely. By the time he crashes on Calypso's island, he is a man running on grief, salt water, and sheer determination, and that's it. And for Calypso alone on her eternal island, having seen the first face she has seen other than her own in hundreds of years, that flicker of mortal fire must have been nearly impossible to ignore. So Odysseus arrives on Calypso's island in true traditional Greek hero fashion. Half dead, salt crusted, and shipwrecked. His crew, gone. His boat, gone. His dignity, sunk somewhere long ago. Calypso finds him, she shelters him, she heals him, she takes care of him in one of his lowest moments. And then she falls in love with him. Why? Maybe it's his tragic war hero eyes, or his tales of lands far, far away that she's never seen before, or maybe it's because you could wash your tunic on his washboard abs, or maybe it was just nice having a new person around after centuries in solitude. Cut a girl some break, she was lonely and a bit desperate. The man told her stories of faraway lands she has never even seen before or imagined. Tales of his home, of his wife, of his family, of his battles, of his losses and his wins. She offers him paradise. She says, stay, be my husband, live with me for eternity, and say goodbye to that life that's cost you nothing but grief, pain and misery and suffering. Instead, be happy living on this island where you need not, want not, forever taken care of and forever comfortable, instead of being miserable in the life you once had. It's not a bad offer by any mean, but Odysseus, he's not really feeling it. He misses his kingdom, he misses his people, he misses his crew, I imagine. He really just misses life of being a mortal, and apparently he doesn't mind the fact that it comes with a few sea monsters and some vengeful gods. And so begins the most romantic standoff in all of ancient literature. 7 years. That's how long Odysseus stays on Calypso's island. They share meals, conversations, sunsets, moments of silence. Calypso sings, Odysseus listens, and they have some pretty nice bliss there. On paper, it's complete bliss. No bills, no sea monsters, no very, 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 very vengeful, angry sea monster gods. It's just happiness. Quiet and content. And it's exactly what Odysseus does not fucking want. Every day he walks towards the shore, he sits on his rock, and he gazes towards the water. He gazes towards Ithaca, his home. It's not because he's ungrateful for Calypso's hospitality and he doesn't understand that she's trapped here too. It's because he knows he is not where he needs to be. He's haunted by the image of Penelope weaving and unweaving her loom, trying to fend off suitors, and his son being raised without a father, going without him for probably near 15 years at this point. His own son doesn't know his face. And he doesn't know his son's face. The last time he saw him, the son was a baby. Odysseus is haunted by the unfinished business of being a mortal. Not a mortal, a mortal. Calypso sees this, of course. She does love him, wholly and with all her heart, but she cannot provide him with what he truly needs and what he truly wants. She offers him everything that she can within her body. She offers him comfort, safety, immortality, being safe from the suffering of time and life. She offers him a new life in a new world untouched by grief and untouched by pain. And Odysseus, bless his complicated, stubborn, completely human heart, he just doesn't want it. He wants his aging wife and the sun doesn't know his face and the heavy crown. He wants his life and he wants to grow old and he wants to die with the people he truly loves. And that's one of the most poignant truths in the entire Odyssey, is that Odysseus chooses perfection. He chooses to be human. He chooses to suffer, because to be human is to suffer. It's to grow old. It's to no longer exist on this world once our time is done. And he chooses to have his life cut and end instead of staying in paradise because he chooses to live the rest of his days with the people he loves instead of running away from his responsibilities. Calypso's probably like, really? I spend centuries alone, not another soul in sight, and finally the gods send me someone to spend time with, someone to spend the rest of eternity with, and it happens to be the only selfless, loyal man in all of Greek myths. Really? That's what they do? Talk about brutal. The story of Calypso and Odysseus isn't a tale of a hero trapped by a villainess unable to escape his grasp. It's the story of a man who knows exactly where he belongs, and a woman who is everything except for his home. And that is what makes it hurt. Eventually, even the gods get tired of Odysseus' extended vacation. I imagine someone up on Mount Olympus finally looks down at a tiny speck of an island and goes, wait, is he still on that island? And then Athena, the goddess of wisdom and strategic favoritism, finally loses patience. She's been championing for Odysseus since day one, cheering him on through storms, helping guide and raise his son in his absence, and ultimately championing for him to get off Calypso's island. She's been patiently waiting in the winds for her moment to strike and to be like, nah, time is done, Odysseus off the island. And she is about to get that chance, because for her the timing is perfect. Poseidon, he has left. He is effed off to Ethiopia, where he's being praised and loved and adored by all the Ethiopians, and he's not really taking part in the Divine Council right now because he's too busy being worshipped. So Athena is like, perfect, now's my chance to march up to Daddy Dearest. So she walks up to Daddy Dearest during the Divine Council and is like, man, it is time to set Odysseus free. Now, on top of already being a deadbeat dad, he's also an eternal delegator. So he's kind of like, yeah, alright, if you really want, after she does a whole lot of demanding. And Zeus listens with all the attentiveness of a very busy CEO that's trying to send an email and just points to Hermes and goes, you do that. And so Hermes is like, sure thing, mate, I got it. Hermes, the divine courier with winged sandals and knack for awkward conversation, basically comes down with a godly directive that just says, break up with him, love Olympus, peace, and just tells Calypso it's time to end this little charade of a romance. Odysseus is going free and you're staying here on this island for the rest of eternity by yourself. Tough love. Now imagine you're Calypso. You've spent centuries alone, not another person in sight, and then finally you get this person on your island who's going to spend time with you, and he's also trapped here, and so you're going to spend the rest of eternity together, and you slowly fall in love with him. You know, you spend breakfasts with him, you go to walks on the beach with him, you sing together, you chat, you know all about him and his life, and you've built this connection and it's really strong, and you guys are starting to really get along, and you think maybe, just maybe, one day he'll love me like I love him. And then next thing you know, this awkward god comes down with his fancy shoes and is like, time to break up. You're spending the rest of eternity alone and he's going back to his family, and it sucks to be you because no one else is coming. You're going to spend the rest of eternity by yourself on this tiny island. Now imagine you're Calypso. You save this man who washes up on your shores, and you're finally not alone after centuries of isolation. You spend every waking moment with this man. You talk together, you have moments together, you slowly fall in love with him, and you guys build this real strong friendship and connection together. And over time, you guys really start to build and strengthen that romance and that friendship and that connection you guys have. And then after 7 years, you think, oh, maybe he might pick me. Maybe one day he will fall in love with me and we'll spend the rest of our time happy on this island, just the two of us. And then all of a sudden, this awkward smiled god with fancy shoes comes down and delivers you a termination notice with a happy, cheery smile on his face, like he didn't just tell you you're going to spend the rest of eternity by yourself again. And yet Calypso, she doesn't scream, she doesn't cry, she doesn't throw a thunderbolt or curse the sea or try and lock Odysseus in a dungeon. That's more Circe's type of fun, not hers. Instead, she delivers one of the earliest and greatest feminist monologues in all of ancient literature. You gods are cruel and jealous and quick to envy. When any goddess openly lies with a mortal man and makes him her husband, you cannot bear. And now you're angry with me because I harbour a mortal. You are cruel, you gods, and more jealous than others. In your envy of goddesses who openly marry with mortal men. Her voice now cuts through centuries of isolation, heartbreak, and silence. She calls out the hypocrisy of the gods. Male deities woo mortal women all the time in Greek myths. But when a female goddess tries to marry or love a mortal man, it's outcry, it's heresy, it's a crime, it needs to be dealt with instantly with violent haste. She dares to ask the question that no one else did. Why are we punished for feelings that they flaunt? Her rage is righteous and her grief is raw, and yet she still yields and she lets Odysseus go. This is not because she lacks power, but because she has grace. She knows Odysseus wants to go home. She's known he wanted to go home the entire time, and this is his chance to do so. So she's not going to stop him from going home to seeing his family. She's just hurt that she's going to spend the rest of eternity alone after she built such a strong connection with somebody. She helps Odysseus build his raft with her bare hands. She points him to the best trees on the island and helps him build this raft so he can go and leave her in isolation again. She gives him a gentle breeze, a map to Ithaca, and sets him out on his voyage with the best chance of getting home. She doesn't curse his ship or sabotage his voyage. She lets him go with kindness. The kind of kindness that hurts way more than cruelty ever could. In that moment, Calypso isn't just a goddess. She's something greater. She's the embodiment of dignified grace, even in heartbreak. She lets him go because she loves him. She loves him enough to let him go, be happier in a world that he chooses, and in doing so, she sacrifices herself to a life of isolation. Now here's where it hurts, especially for me. Once Odysseus sails away into the sunset to go towards Ithaca, Calypso just vanishes. Homer never revisits her. There's never any epilogue, never any extra, OVA episode. It's just nothing, it's silence. She fades away. To me, that's the true heartbreak. That's the real tragedy. It's not the loss of love. It's the complete erasure once her story is no longer necessary for Odysseus's. She is nothing without him. Her love, her island, her paradise, it all fades behind the hero's next storm. Just another chapter in his story. In the Odyssey, Calypso is described but never heard. We don't know how she feels, as we only ever view her through the eyes of Odysseus, eyes that are set on leaving and determined to go back home. But like I said in the introduction, Calypso isn't just a character, she is a symbol. The question every weary hero must one day answer. What if we just stopped and stayed and stopped running? She embodies stillness. She is temptation, not of the body, but of peace, of sanctity, of a life unchased, unhurt, and not put in danger constantly. Some stories say that Calypso bore him a son. Some say that Ogygia is actually Limbo, and this is Odysseus half dead, half alive, choosing whether or not he wants to fade into death or live on and suffer some more. Whatever it may be, sadly Calypso was lost to silence when she was no longer necessary for his story. Few other stories about the Odyssey have really tried to give Calypso more of a voice and more information. Some say that she, like I said earlier, bore him a son. Some say that she got to get off the island. But openly, these are all stories given after the fact. These are not from Homer's words. Calypso was not destroyed by love. She was defined by it, not because she clung to it or forced it. She is the goddess of letting go, of grace in loss, of the quiet strength it takes to build a raft for the one you love and watch them sail away forever, to live the rest of your life in complete isolation for another person's happiness. She never got her own epic, but maybe she never actually needed one. In a world that worshipped conquest and control and war and fighting, Calypso, she chose compassion. And in doing so, she left a deeper mark than any war ever could.